scholars, welcome to Chapter 11, Sustaining Aquatic Biodiversity. So in Chapter 8, we talked about all the different types of aquatic ecosystems and what kind of animals inhabit those ecosystems, what adaptations have they come up with. We even played some games on Chapter 8, but we're going to talk about how humans have not only impacted, but how should we be able to sustain those for future use and future generations. That's what we're going to start off with today. Let's take a look at a core case study. It's on Lake Victoria, which is a lake in Africa, a very large one, that has kind of gone through a roller coaster as far as the ecology of the lake. We've seen a lot of loss of biodiversity, of just biodiversity in general, of different species, as well as the cichlid population, which are tropical fish that you can find a lot in pet stores. But the reason is not because of many of the things we talked about in Chapter 8, like runoff and pollution and diverging habitat, or kind of moving waters different places, but because of invasive species and actually introduced invasive species. So this perch, the Nile perch, was deliberately introduced, thinking that it would cause it would better the fishing industry in the region. And it didn't quite work out that way. Now, the lake was affected by nutrient runoff, which caused frequent algal blooms because of spills and untreated sewage and, overall. But because the Nile perch came in and took out a lot of the biodiversity, the diversity that fed upon, algae, we saw more algae and more frequent algal blooms because of this introduction. So it was kind of a roller coaster ride with that. You can see that Lake Victoria is huge as far as it borders 3 different countries. It is a very, very large lake in Africa, and this is the stuff they were planning. Those Nile perch can get extremely large, eat a ton of different fish species, and really overtook the lake. So not a good story there, not a successful story. Okay, welcome. We're at the Harambe Wildlife Reserve here at Animal Kingdom in Disney World at Orlando, Florida. And relating to our core case study that we talk about is the Lake Victoria Cichlid Conservation Effort, which is what they have here at Animal Kingdom here at Disney World. And if you notice this sign right here, the Nile perch, it is kind of a big deal. It grows up to about 4 feet long, weighs over 200 pounds, and literally eats everything in sight. It's actually outcompeting the native Nile perch there in Lake Victoria in Africa. And kind of a big deal we talk about on a regular basis. They brought this guy in for food, but didn't really realize that it was that big of a competitor as far as an invasive species goes. Became an invasive species and now has outcompeted all those African cichlids that you see there in that big tank. But here at Animal Kingdom, they're trying to do their best to rehabilitate and restore the Lake Victoria there in Africa by populating here and also educating the public that come here at Disney World. But those are really, really beautiful fish. The cichlids, there's lots of them. They're mostly known for the pet trade, but they are native to Lake Victoria in Africa and are becoming more and more rare in Africa because of the fact that they are being outcompeted and eaten by the Nile perch. So we're here at Disney World at the Harambe Reserve in Animal Kingdom, and as you look over here, these are all the different colors and colorations and different variations of the African cichlid. Again, a species we talk about briefly in our textbook when we talk about invasive species, because they are very, very majorly in decline in Africa and Lake Victoria because of that Nile perch introduction. Again, the people there introduced the Nile perch on purpose as a way of a food resource, but again, didn't realize how much it would outcompete the other native species there. And so this is actually a real rehabilitation program and population conservation program here at Disney World to maintain a healthy population there in Africa by breeding them here in captivity. But very, very cool, really, really beautiful. You can see all the different colorations and just a very unique species overall to help definitely restore and keep on our Earth and on our planet.